Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Julie at Craft So Cute, and as promised, I remade this cover, okay? Because when I was showing you on the preview, the one that I scrapped, I made a major boo-boo. I wasn't happy with it. I had so much anxiety over it, I just chucked it. However, in hindsight, I should have kept it because I could have just cut part of the video out and then went ahead and did a part 2 of it, but I didn't. But this is the journal, okay? Hang on. This is this, okay? This is going to be this. Let me just give you a quick preview of it. So this is the cover that I completed, scrapping, and this was the second video because I scrapped the first one. Okay, so here is this is going to be the closure. I believe I'm going to do magnets here, and then when you open this up, hang on, let me move this out of the way real quick. This flips open, okay, and this I haven't covered, but this slides out. This is going to be another journal, pretty much for you to throw in your purse and take it with you to church and write down, you know, the verses that were given that Sunday or Wednesday, or even at a, you know, in-home fellowship Bible study. You can take this and write down all of your scriptures, and then you come home and do a personal devotional time in your main journal. Okay, so that comes out, and this probably, I don't know if I'm gonna decorate it any further, and then this flips open like so. This is gonna have 2 eyelets here, and I will have attached on both sides 2 writing pads, okay, and I will have ribbon as a ribbon enclosure attaching those 2 journals. That way you can remove them when it's full. Then you can easily make some more and add to your journal. And once I get back to this journal, I'll show you how I put those pads together. This is a pocket, okay, and it is gusseted. I've added 2 gussets, if you could see, so that way you can put a lot more in this pocket here. Letters, cards, note to self, and then you flip this over. Well, you close it and then flip it over. And I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here yet. I haven't got that far. But this here is going to look like this one. It's going to have a cascading flips that will be a year calendar. So this will be January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December, okay? And then up here, which will be on this page up here, we'll have another pocket with a little closure and a tie to just add loose pieces of ephemera, decorative ephemera pieces, or just blank paper to write a favorite scripture, okay? And that way you can stick it in your wallet and memorize the scripture, you know, and then, yeah, so something like that, okay? So that's going to be here. And what I've done with this, if you see that this is a lot larger, it's a lot wider, okay? So it's going to fill up this page, okay? It'll fill it up right here. And then you'll be able to close this and then open it up. And so this, what's going to go in here, I'm going to make it a little wider. So I couldn't find a stamp, calendar stamp to put here. So what I may do is I will probably either change this out to watercolor paper, because I'm going to do some watercoloring in the background, and then I'd probably calligraphy, a calendar with my calligraphy, ink and calligraphy. I don't know yet. Haven't come to that part, okay? And then you just close your journal, and that'll snap shut with the magnetic closure, okay? And so I'll go ahead and put this away so I don't lose my little notebook here. I'll slide that in, and that goes in like that, and then close it up. Let's set that aside, and then I'm going to show you how to put this together. Okay, this is what that looks like. Looks like just a bunch of scrap paper. Okay, so now I'm going to open this up and completely open this up like this. Here's the first opening, and then once we get to this part, I'm going to cut off a sliver here so it opens up so you can slide in a journal. Okay, that was the happy accident that I discovered last night after I made a major boo-boo, and then I fixed it. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove this. You need 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11 craft card or cardstock. Okay, let's set that aside. So this is 8.5 by 11. Okay, and what you want to do, if you have a scoreboard, you need to score at the 2.5 inch mark, or it is also referred to, let me zoom you in real quick. If you see this is that's scored at the 2.5 mark, but it's also known as 2 4/8, because if you count, here's the 2 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the half mark, so it'll be 2 4/8 of an inch. Okay, so if you like, when I saw this, people using this, when I first stumbled upon this crafting world, I couldn't understand what was 2 4/8. Just couldn't get it until I ended up ordering my scoreboard, and I noticed that there was one video out there. There's a lot of videos out there that shows you, but this is a quick reference for those that don't know that 2.5 is 2 4/8. So this we know is 1 inch, 2 inch, and then the halfway mark is 2.5 inches. But it's also known as 2 4/8. Okay, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines within 1 inch, right? So we count from, here's your 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the half mark right here. So that is 2 4/8 of an inch. So if someone says, I want you to score at 2 4/8, you know that here's the 2 inch, and then count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 2 4/8, and then you score it down. Okay, so then you come across here from the 2.5 mark, you want to score it at the 8 1/4 mark. 8 1/4 is 8 1/2/8 of an inch. Okay, so someone might be teaching you, I want you to go and score at 8 2/8 of an inch. So this is 8 1/2/8 of an inch, and then you score it down. Then 9 2/8 is again 9 1/4. So 9 1 2, that's 9 2/8. So that's what you want to do, is score. So you're going to score at the 2.5 inch mark, then go to the 8 1/4 mark, which is also known as 8 2/8, and you score it, and then go to the 9 1/4 mark, 9 1/4, and score all the way down, and then you're going to go ahead and burnish, which simply means crease. So you don't need one of these. You can take anything. For example, you grab this scissor, turn this around. If you have scissors, you're going to burnish your edges. Use the dull edge of the scissor and crease it, because that's what that actually means. So you're going to crease those edges, okay? And then you want to set that aside. And then you want to come back here and get your other second piece. And what you're going to do is we're going to score again at the 2.5 inch mark, the 8 1/4 mark, and this time we're going to go a little bit beyond the 9 1/4. We're going to go to 9 1/2, okay, which is also known as 9 1 2 3 4, 9 4/8, okay, and score that down, and then go ahead and burnish, which is again simply just sharpening up those edges, making a sharp crease, okay, and that's the next part. So let's just put those together, and then we want to get the third 8 1/2 by 11 card craft, and then you want to go to the middle. So 11 divided by 2 is 5 1/2, right? So go to the 5 1/2 mark and crease that. This is also known as 5 1 2 3 4, 5 4/8, okay? And then you want to fold this up and then burnish it, simply creasing. Set that aside, and let's move this out of the way. Oh, hang on. And then I had 2 strips of paper. I'd taken 2 more of the 8 1/2 by 11, and I divided them for 6 panels, okay? So I burnished, or went to the 3 1/2 mark, and there was one. Went to the 6 1/2 mark, and that's another one. And then the 9 1/2 mark, okay? So then when you get your, let me move these because these are shorter. So this is what I got out. I got 6 pieces, okay? I got 6 pieces here. And this was the leftover from this. If you put it like that, this would be 8 1/2 by 11. This right here, these pieces put together, this was 2 sheets of 8 1/2 by 11, and I scored it at 3 1/2, 6 1/2, and 9 1/2. Okay. Let me make double sure that 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. And so I have 6 pieces. We're going to use this right now to cut out. Let me show you this piece right here. We have 2 of these pieces that we have. Let me get in frame again so you can see this. We have 2 pockets. We scored it at 2 1/2 inches, okay? And we have this other one we scored at 2 1/2 inches. Those are going to be pockets, okay? So you can always glue this straight down and have a pocket instantly by gluing these down right here and right here. But I like to create a little gusset so that there's a slight expansion within the pocket. That way you can stuff more in them. If you were just to simply glue these edges straight down, you won't be able to put a whole lot in these pockets. That's why I create that gusset. So what I want to do is I have a 2 1/2 inch pocket, and I want to take at least about, is it 1/16 of it? 1/8 of an inch off? No, 1/16 of an inch, okay? And that means if you're looking at this, this was scored at 2. this edge right here is 2.5. So when I cut these pieces off, the length I want is about, I'm going to cut it off to about right here. Here's the 2-inch, and I'm going to go to this next mark and then just cut that sliver off, okay? And I'll explain why. So my gussets are going to be 2 inches wide, okay? And I need 4 pieces, okay? So I'm gonna, let me turn this way. Let's see, can you see it this way better? Or this way. I'm gonna burnish. Let me get my other one that's sharper. I'm going to score at 1 inch. Two-inch. I need 4 of these. So each one are going to be 1 inch in width. And I'm going to burnish it. I burnished it, or scored at 1, scored at 2, scored at 3, and scored at 4. Okay? Now, each piece of these pieces have got to fold, right? They've got to fold in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, in between the 1 inch mark, I'm going to score another line at a 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to do the same for all of these. Okay, then I'm going to cut this out. Let's see, can you see it better? Those lines that way. I'm going to cut along each 1 inch mark, okay? Oh, glasses would help me to see those lines. So I'm going to cut this every 1 inch. That's why don't throw your scraps away, because they can be turned into future gussets in other projects. Okay, now if you had a journal that was this length and a pocket that was this length and you needed a gusset, you just score it at 1 inch, you know, score it at 1 inch, and then in between at the 1/2 inch mark, and that's your long piece of gusset. And this is how I'm going to show you how it works. Now remember that my pocket is 2.5 inches long, and I want to take just a sliver. Let me show you. Let's come back here again. So here is our gussets. Now our pockets are 2.5 inches wide. Here's the 2.5 inch mark right here. Here's the 2 1/2 right here, 2 1/2. But I want to make it just slightly smaller, and I'm going to score it at this mark, which is technically 2 1 2 3, 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do that to all of them, and I'm going to cut them off. Let's get 2 3/8. 2 and there's 2 1 2 3/8. 2 1 2 3, 2 3/8. Don't throw these away either. Let me show you why. Here's a small little gusset if you're going to ever create a small pocket somewhere in your journal. So keep these. Those are very useful. Line frame. Okay. So I'm going to save these pieces and toss them over there. Now we're going to fold these, okay? and then burnish it with your scissors. Get that crease really sharp. Max, our German Shepherd son, is outside doing his guard duty. Last night he barked constantly, nonstop. So my husband got up, put his clothes on, long pants and his muck boots and stuff, and went into the woods to see what he was barking at. And came to find out that Max showed him, ran to a tree, looked at my husband David, and looked up to show him that there was a possum. So there was a possum that was bothering him all evening. It was so unusual, and he never barked like that. And I'm telling you, he was barking for I want to say a few hours or more, constant, non-stop. So anyway, he's doing his little guard duty work right now. Excuse me, I had to take a sip of water. Okay, and here are our pieces. Okay. In order for me to not make another boo-boo mistake, here's this inside flap that's going to fold out, or flip out, and then fold over, okay? So I'm going to set that aside over here. Okay, and then, here, let me show you why we shorten this up to 2 3/8, okay? Oh, am I in frame? No, I'm not. I'm going to zoom you guys back out. Maybe I need to get you back up in here. Okay. So this is here's our pocket. Okay. And this gusset is in a V. So when you look at it like a V, you know that it's going to lay this way. And we're going to glue these down here and then close this up. And when you close this up, if I had cut it out at 2 inches, this piece, when you fold this pocket over, it will be sticking out just about, 1/16 of an inch. And once it's glued down, you can't fix it. Okay, you can take an X-Acto knife, but you might cut through your cover. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to attach it here on this side instead of on this side, because when you go to cover your project, you don't necessarily have to cover this inside pocket. If you're doing a custom order, yeah, I'd probably cover it, okay? But because it's not going to be a custom order unless you make it for a Christmas gift, then you can go that extra mile and cover the inside, then attach your gusset and then attach it. But when this gets attached here, I'm going to leave this open, leave your flaps open. That way you can cover this. Once this is covered, then you can close it. Because once you close it before covering this, then you have that dilemma. Either you're just going to cut out a decorative paper to fit this, but then when you go to lift that up, then you see all this card craft. So you take whatever decorative paper you're doing and cover this whole thing. Then you can close, and if you want to, go ahead and cover that if you'd like, and then glue your gusset down, attach your gusset here, and then you can glue your gusset down to this page right here, and then it allows you for a little bit wider opening to be able to stuff more in it. Now, let's see. If I go ahead and start gluing all of these together, then I don't want to glue it down because I would like to cover this demonstration. So what I'm going to show you is that I'm going to take this art glitter glue. Okay, remember, looking at the V, this is how you want to attach this right here. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and put some glue down. Didn't want to use the art glitter glue, but I'm going to use it because it glues a lot faster. And then we can just keep moving right along in our project. See, that's already stuck. Now, that's what that's going to look like, okay? So, we'll go ahead and do this other one. Now, here's your V, okay? That V has got to look like this. It's got to, this side's got to glue together right here, okay? So just make sure before you start gluing things down, be aware of the orientation of how you're gluing things down, okay? Just take that extra second or two and just be mindful of how you're gluing things down. And if you're using art glitter glue, you got to make sure that's where you want it, because this thing, once it's down, it's not like Fabri-Tac glue, where Fabri-Tac glue gives you that wiggle room. Okay, so here's your gusset. And this is what this is going to look like. Let me bend this out of the way for a sec. There's your pocket. Look at that. Look at all that room. You have now created so much room, a pocket that can house a lot of things, okay? So now, let's go ahead and, since we know this right here, no. We're going to glue this gusset just like how we did this one. We're going to do that right here, okay? So let's just get these gussets out of the way. My orientation is the V, so I'm going to glue this on. Like so. And place it on here. Get it in the right position, because it's within seconds. This thing is glued down. So we're going to go ahead, and here's the orientation. See that? That side's got to glue down like that. So let's get this glue on. Gotta hurry. Okay. The reason why I'm not gluing this down yet, okay, is because we've got to attach this panel to this, because this right here will be glued to this, creating this inside pocket, okay? And that flap gets, did I line that up right? No, I did not. That's got to get glued to here, because this panel right here, that's an inside panel pocket, and that'll flip open like that, okay? So let's set that aside. Now this, to attach the front to the back cover, okay, we're going to glue, you see this score line right here, this score line, and we have this right here. We are going to glue this to that, okay? And if you notice the score line where it bends, see that? The creases, if you glue this on top of that score line, then your folder won't be able to close, then you have to create another crease. So when we glue this down, let me show you right here, here's the outside of the crease. I'm just going to glue it right outside of that crease, so that when I close this, I have no disruption of it opening and closing. So I'm going to glue it to the outer, just outside of that crease, just beyond it, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that now. So remember, don't fold your pocket onto it. Don't glue the pocket on. You're going to close up your pocket here, and you're going to glue that and lay that down right here. My lighting is really bad. When I zoom in, it's just like horrible. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. It is just super wrong. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, and I got to work fast because this glitter glue just wants to close up and just cement down as soon as you put your cardstock down. Okay, now I'm going to take my, just dropped my lid. I'm going to move it like this, and I'm going to position this just outside of that crease mark. And then I usually pick it up and make sure that I can fold it. Okay, making sure that it's completely butt up and where I want it, even. Yep, see that? Okay, now I'll show you up close what this looks like. I'm going to press this down. Let's get this glue stuck on here. Let's see if I can show you. Let's see if I can get in an angle. See that crease line right there? I just went right beyond it. Probably about maybe an 1/16 of an inch. Okay? So now we have this. I would glue this down right here. I would want to glue this down right now, but I need to remember, I want to decorate the panels before I actually glue this pocket down. Otherwise, because when I look in my pocket, I want to see decorative paper right here. Okay? And if I just glue this down now, then I'm only cutting a small rectangular, an 8 3/8 of an inch, by 3-inch panel, and then when I go to put things in the pocket, then I'll see this cardstock, and I don't want to. So this is what this looks like put together so far. Okay, we've got our gussets right here. Now, if you have a hole punch and you like that look to put a little notch in here, you can cover your paper, cover it, and then notch it out, okay? But if I were to go ahead and notch it out, like in my previous video, I had already notched it out, and then I had to cut out a piece almost precisely to meet that notch, leaving, because in my journal, if you saw the previous video, I left a 1/16 of an inch, just a millimeter of a border. Now a lot of people like that 1/8 of an inch border around there where they see the craft card, and that's beautiful because I've done that before. But that particular journal, I didn't want the paper right up at the edge. I wanted just to see a slight hint of the craft card. Okay, so now that we have, let's say we got this glued in place, and actually, let's do this. Washi tape. I mean, I can glue everything down and decorate. I've done it before. I've decorated the pockets. Come on, washi. Behave. I hope everybody had a wonderful memorial. I know that not everyone is, like, especially the families in Texas. You know, what a horrible and sad, horrific event. You know, I even found it difficult to, you know, enjoy Memorial Day. Because, you know, honoring our military, our fallen military, you know, and honoring my dad too. And it was just the memory of the kids, the families that are suffering such horrific loss. Okay, so here's that cover journal right here. Okay, so now we have this put together. How simple is that, right? So we open up our flap. We've got our first opening, which is going to be a pocket. Okay, it'll have, and then you can, I suggest you decorate everything before you glue down your pockets. Glue all of, you know, decorate your panels. Okay, and then you flip this over and then these are the cascading monthly calendar. And if I lay this down, let me zoom you in for this part. Here, oops. Here is the first one. I already notched out or put a line where I'm going to have it laid. But if you notice that this has about 1/8 of an inch on each side spacing. Okay, there's a space there, 1/8 of an inch, and I made it a lot wider than this one. Okay, just because I thought I couldn't find a stamp today, a calendar stamp. And so I thought, well, I'm going to probably do some watercoloring on it, maybe a tea stain paper or, you know, watercolor paper, and attach it here. And then I'm going to, you know, hand draw in using my inks, my calligraphy pen and my ink marker, and then, you know, draw it in. You know, so the calendars are going to still cascade here, and then I'm going to keep this part, and I am going to create a window. I mean a pocket, not a window, but a pocket for extra pieces of ephemera that I can take out. Like if I want to memorize a certain scripture, I'll take it out, okay, and keep it in my wallet, so when I have free time, if I'm waiting in line at a supermarket, or just, you know, waiting somewhere in line in a grocery store, I'll take it out. Or, you know, just when I'm sitting alone, I'll take it out and just, you know, memorize my scripture. Okay, and then when you're done, you can just pop it back in, you know, your scripture that you've memorized in this little pocket. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like, guys. This cascading window is going to be here. Okay, now let me show you how I go to start decorating these. Well, you choose your paper. You can even use magazine. Cut out your magazine, and I mean, you can just cover it in magazine paper. How cool would that look, right? If I'm going to cut out a piece of paper, I'm going to want a slight border around here. Okay, so if I'm measuring this width is 5 3/4 inch wide. This is 5 3/4, okay? So what I'm going to do is probably take 1/8 of an inch off. So I'm going to cut my piece of paper width at 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/8 of an inch. I will cut it at 5 4/8 of an inch. So when I go to lay it down, you know, in widthwise, I'll have a slight border. So the height is the same way. We know that the height is 8.5, right? So if it's 8.5 inches, here's the 8, and if I count over 1, 2, 3, 4, that gives me 8.5 inches. Okay, so in height, if I want that border on the edge, my slight border, okay, I am going to remove probably 1/8 of an inch. No. Excuse me. Let me see. If this is 8.5 inches, I'm gonna, yeah, I'm correct. I'm gonna take 1/8 of an inch off. Okay, so that way, when I will have 1/8 here and 1/8 here border. Does that make sense? If I've got 8.5 inch width. Here's 8.5 inches right here. If I remove 1/8 of an inch, okay, that leaves me 8 1/4. That means when I place my paper down, I'm going to have a border here and a border here. Really nice border. So you're just really primarily taking 1/8 of an inch, okay? So I will cut this down. So if I have 8 3/4 of an inch, I will have an 8 1/4. I'll cut it out to 8 1/4 in length. If my width is 5 3/4, here's 5 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's, let's see, 5 is over here. Here's 5 3/4. Okay, I hope you can see that. If I zoom you in, you're not going to see my table anymore. So here's the 5 3/4 of an inch is right here. So 5 3/4 is actually 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 6/8 of an inch, okay? Like I was showing you over here. Let me bring in my, here, I'll do it like this. Let's bring you guys in. Okay. If my width of this paper that I need to cut out is 5 3/4, okay, my paper right here, this width right here is 5 3/4. Here's the 5 and here's 3/4. 5 3/4 of an inch is right here. Okay, now if I take 1/8 of an inch off, I'm going to go here, and that leaves me a 5 1/2 inch width of paper. I will cut out 5 1/2, because when I place that paper down, I'm going to have a beautiful even edge here and a beautiful even edge here. Now, there's no stopping you in cutting out. If you want your paper to be completely covered with no borders, then cut it out precisely, because we know that from this score mark to this score mark is 5 3/4. Go ahead and cut it out, you know, but a lot of people like having that slight border. But if you're not comfortable, and cutting out, you know, doing that extra math and going 5 3/4 is actually 5 6/8 of an inch. You know, never mind that. Just cut out precisely your paper, the width, 5 1/2. This width right here is 8 1/2, because remember, we worked from an 8 1/2 by 11 paper. So cut it out evenly so you know all of your paper in height, even your little panels here that you cut out, are going to be 8 1/2, okay? But your width, like for here, this width right here is 1 inch, 1 1/4 of an inch, which is in the other way that a lot of people measure will be 1 2/8, okay? Because if we know that's 1, here's 1, and we said that was 1 1/4 inch, okay? Here's your 1 inch mark, and here's your 1/4 inch mark right here. That's your 1 inch mark. Going over 2 is 1/4. There's 4 quarters that make 1 inch, right? Here's 1/4, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, and here's that 4th quarter. 4 quarters make 1 inch. So if this is from this score line to the score line is 1 1/4, then cut it out at 1 1/4, okay? But it's also known as 1 2/8, because this is, here is the 1 1/4, okay? It's 1 1 2, 1 2/8 of an inch, okay? I know that sounds a little confusing, but if you just keep referring to this, I mean, I had to refer, I watched, I think it was Gail Augustinelli, I watched it over and over, and I still couldn't get it. My brain was not processing it. So until I just watched it over and just watched her continuously count over, okay, well, that makes sense. 1 1/4 is 1 2/8 of an inch, because I kept watching her point and count it out. So just refer back to this video if you want to learn that process, because that was the one confusing part when I started this journey in journaling, was that whole process of, well, how is 1/2, 1 1/2 inch, 1 4/8 of an inch? Yeah, until I just got it. You know, I just got it by watching Gail count it all out. Bless her heart. Thank her for that video. Okay, so if this is 1 1/4 of an inch, just cut it out. You don't need to, you know, shorten it to create a little edging here. Only if you want to. And if you do, just watch this channel reading, or go to Gail's. Gail's gonna, I forget what video it is, where she meticulously goes through it and shows you how to do the 1 2/8, and 1 2/8 equals 1 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, okay. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. When you're covering your book, we already know this is 8 1/2 inches. Cut out your paper in the full length. Okay, this is 8 1/2, so cut out your length of paper at 8 1/2, and then just measure this. This measured front cover is 5 1/2 inches, so cut out 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 panels, okay? But when you come into these little parts, that's where you're going to have to cut the width out, okay? Measure it and cut the width out precisely. Like right here, I wrote this is 1 1/2 inches in width. Okay, so you need to cut out a paper that is 1 1/2 inches in width and 8 1/2 in length. Okay, so that's this journal. That's going to have these cascading windows. Okay, and then all you need to do is have fun and decorate after that. This becomes this. This is this. And then yesterday, if you noticed on my video, I was trying to use my tiny little decorative edge punch on this, but this thing got so thick. Remember how this starts off really thin, right? Listen to that. And then listen to this. Listen to this. Look how thin it is. Can't make that same sound with that anymore because it's so thick, because I've covered this side and this side, right? It makes it substantial once you put your decorative pages in it, okay? Flimsy flopsy to like thick chipboard. This is a thick chipboard, okay? Okay, guys, so that wraps this up. In my next video, when I start, I am going to decorate this in here, and then also for my journal cover, for this main journal that's going to go in here, I'm going to watercolor, do a watercolor featured journal cover, and I'm going to use my calligraphy pen and ink also in that design. So that's the next video. Okay, and then once I get this covered and this journal cover made, then we're going to search for paper to fill it to make a journal, and then from there we are going to create ephemera, okay, to put in here and load it up. Okay, everyone, thank you again for stopping by. I hope that was clear to you. If not, please comment below and let me know. If something is not absolutely clear, I will take my time and come in and do a short video and explain what you may not understand, okay? All right, everyone, I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day, and for those who have lost their loved ones in our military branch of our armed forces, you know, God bless you, and may God's peace be with you and give you comfort in your memory. It's not easy to deal with loss, you know, it's because it's our loved ones who've gone on, and celebrate those men in arms right now still serving our country and honoring our vets who are still alive. My husband is a Marine, and so we celebrated his Memorial Day by going to Harbor Freight, you know, and then I popped into Hobby Lobby, yeah, because it was right next door. Why not, right? If it was a distance away, I wouldn't have done it, but it was right next door. It was so convenient. Anyway, you guys, happy crafting. Let me know, post pictures on Facebook of what you made and how you decorated it. I would totally get a kick out of seeing what you use to decorate your journal. Okay, this is a journal. Mine is going to be specifically a devotional journal, and it will have those featured elements pointing that this is a devotional journal. Okay, everybody, good night. Thank you, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Please share this video so that, you know, for that YouTube algorithm, if I get those thumbs up, I guess it means a lot to YouTube. And again, I'll research why that is so important, but in the meantime, it is. So please give me that thumbs up. Comment below. Share my channel to those that, who knows, want to start making homemade gifts for Christmas. You know, and you can even totally make this a masculine journal. I've made masculine journals, and they came out wonderful. So turn it into, you know, something that is completely masculine. Maybe use the Realtree designs, because they've got all that paper, you know, for your famous hunter, you know, to put all his bragging pictures, you know. It could be his brag book, you know. Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you. Bye.